Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. This is going to be long, brutal, grueling, exhausting, punishing, everything that you hate. This is going to be 20 sports, 20 plus sports ranked in 7 tiers. I did it and I apologize. This is a disclaimer. I apologize if I left out somebody's favorite sport or basically any sport. I really couldn't cover everything because it's impossible to cover everything, but not nevertheless. The way I did it is I combined my subjective opinion, my preferences, with a objective look with the sports ingredients, with its popularity, excitement, competitiveness, the difference between the top, the elite players, and let's say average players. It's really important to have it close. It's really important to not have a big gap between the cream de la cream and the normal everyday mortals. So let's get right into this. What do you think? What is the shittiest sport out there? Bomb. It's fishing. It's a surprise. Somebody told me that fishing is a sport. So I decided to look at fishing and think about fishing as a sport. And it really sucks. Like, honestly, it sucks. First of all, it's boring. It's painfully boring. Second of all, you cannot watch fishing anywhere. You do not have streams. You do not have live broadcasts on television. And then on top of that, you do not do anything athletic as a quote unquote competitor. What do you do athletic? I understand that you sometimes have to use your reflexes, but athleticism, there is none. So you do not use like a spear, bow, or arrow to hunt fish or catch fish. You just use your really, really good high tech stuff. So that's why sucks. And by the way, you cannot even see the fish hooking onto the hook. I don't know how to say it. It seems like it's really a lucky sport. Like, how do you make a difference? How do you become a better fisherman? I don't know. Maybe somebody can teach me, but whatever. Okay, so that was the F tier. The E tier contains four sports, and it's going to be controversial. Probably my most controversial tier because it starts off with boxing. Listen, boxing has every ingredient of a dying sport that sucks right now. For the past 15, 20 years, boxing has been awful. Why? Because we do not know who are the champions. Why? Because the champions do not fight often. Let's say heavyweight division. The two best fighters right now, besides, let's say, Anthony Joshua, are Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. The last time we saw them was February 22nd, 2020, so more than a year ago. And they still do not have a contract signed for their future fights. So there's going to be at least year and a half gap between seeing them fight. So how can we get emotionally invested in the best men out there when we can't even see them? So that's why it sucks. And the structure of a boxing match is kind of weird. I really love the MMA structure. The championship bouts are 5x5, 5 rounds of 5 minutes. Boxing is 12 rounds. Do you really need 12 rounds? Could you just make something like a 6 round fight with 7 minute rounds? Something like that. It's really long and it's like pointless to see with the breaks. Dudes fight for 45, 50 minutes and not knock each other out. I mean, I understand that you're in love with the box and you find beautiful things in it even when there is no knockout, but for a normal person it's really just boring to me. It's really just, who are these guys? I think that's the problem with boxing. And listen, objectively, boxing is probably a C tier sport, but right now it sucks in my opinion, so that's why it's an E. Next up, another controversial take: golf. Golf, what do you do athletically in golf? You're swinging, okay, but you have 50-year-old white men winning championships. So every time in a sport that features 50-year-old men winning championships, I want to say white men, but it's really okay. Let's not try to label them, whatever. That sport sucks. Like, you cannot have 50-year-old Phil Mickelson being irrelevant, not irrelevant, relevant. You cannot have Tiger Woods at 45 pre-car crash winning tournaments. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand that Tom Brady won a championship at 43, but he plays in the most protected position out there. Golfing, I mean, golf, it's just, and it's boring. On top of that, it's really boring. It's hard to invest in golfing, at least for me. I understand that some people like it, but it's just boring. And, an average poor kid cannot even play golf. So it's like the sport of elite. It's boring. Old people are winning. Yeah, I don't like golf. Next up, Well, it's an exciting sport. You get emotionally invested. It's gambling. But of course, it's not really a sport, but I had to put it here because it's really exciting. You get addicted to it, right? It's some things that I like to do or you like to do or whatever. So that's a good ingredient when it comes to a sport. But of course, gambling is not a real sport. And please, guys, please gamble responsibly. I had bad experiences before. But nevertheless, let's continue. The last sport in the E tier is gymnastics. I just don't like the pedophilia in it. Like I am watching 14-year-old girls who are 4'9". They do not have any female features. Let's label them that way. Not much clothing. The coaches look like pedophiles. They're jumping around, and the dudes same. I mean, 17-year-old dudes, 5'3", in their underwear, jumping around. Like it's just no, I do not like it. It's just and it's kind of a the way they grade it. I do not. I understand how they grade it, but it's almost like really subjective. I do not like sports which have a subjective grading system. So yeah, I do not like gymnastics at all. Next up, we have the D tier. The first sport in the D tier is hockey. My problem with hockey is that you cannot see the puck usually. Like hockey is okay, sometimes I can watch it. It's kind of popular around the world, especially in the northern countries, right? But it's okay, but it's just you cannot watch it there. I would wish that there would be more goals, more excitement. I would wish that the players would not rotate as much because even the best players play like 25 minutes out of 60. So it's kind of weird. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I was never really a big fan of hockey. I understand why people like it, but yeah, it's hockey. There are better winter sports, by the way, than hockey. Next up, we have baseball. So back in the day when I was younger, I was kind of a big baseball fan, but then I kind of, with time, realized that it's really boring. Like I'm supposed to get excited during how long is it? Like 3.5 hours. I'm supposed to get excited by things such as a base hit, such as a good pitch, 99-mile-per-hour fastball, strikeout, double play. Like it's not. It's something. I mean, that's like not as exciting as they would wish to be. Like it's you get excited by a home run, right? That's exciting. But home runs maybe won't even happen during a match. Like they happen maybe twice in a game. So it's like you're kind of going on a picnic there. You're just chilling there, and sometimes something happens. Like I understand that there is more drama in the playoffs, but also you have 162 games in the regular season in American baseball, which is really a lot. So when you have that many games, it really makes them pointless. It really makes them, just a day in the office. So to me, the biggest knock on baseball that it's really boring. Next up, we have weightlifting. So yeah, weightlifting is actually a pretty fun sport, but I just don't like it because I have a oh my god, I always fear that there's going to be a really gruesome injury to somebody because I saw a dude's elbow snap in half and it was really fucking ugly. And these dudes, the heavyweights, lift 500 pounds over their heads. So you're just waiting. You're just like, oh my god, please don't snap. Please, like, just don't die. I mean, just imagine a weight falling on their heads, on their legs. I mean, there were some really gruesome injuries. So that's why I really don't like to watch weightlifting. But it can be really exciting. And the last sport, Mr. Who do you think you are? I am. Bowling. So bowling is a combination of a couple of weird things. Bowling actually can be exciting, and Mr. Phil Weber, I think that's his name. Mr. Who do you think you are? I am is the most famous, I think, bowler of all time, and is the most famous bowling quote of all time. But I do not understand the scoring system, and I figured it out that a lot of people do not understand the scoring system. Do I have to get a private lesson to understand private bowling lesson? I mean, it's really just weird. It's great that a lot of people can play bowling, but it's kind of a simple sport, and I would really love to understand the scoring system. Next up, we have C tiers, which means that it's average sport. So C tier starts off with cycling. Personally, I'm a huge cycling fan. I would personally put it in tier A. But I understand why cycling is boring because it is boring. You're watching dudes riding a bicycle for 5 hours. So it's not exciting. Sometimes there are climbs and the crowd makes it a little bit more exciting. It can be really epic on the Tour de France. But even lately, the stage profiles, the climbs have been really bad because it's really weird because I think the organizers, it's a weird word, the people who are organizing the event. I'm sorry for that weird thing that happened. The people who are organizing the event are trying to make it more exciting. So the way they do it is they have a shorter stage, a boring stage, and then the finish has, let's say, a bigger climb or something like that. But that means that the dudes riding the bicycle aren't tired. So that means that there aren't time gaps. And I personally, as a huge cycling fan, I love time gaps. I love hard climbs. I love when it's man to man. But because the race is easier, bigger teams can control it and they can just win towards the end. So that's why cycling kind of even starts to suck, in my opinion. Next up, we have cricket. So I really like the 2020 version of cricket, but as I've figured it out, there's a longer, more boring version of cricket. So that's why I cannot really put it higher, and I do not have a special opinion when it comes to cricket. Now, next up, we have swimming, water polo. So swimming is cool, but you cannot watch swimming often because there aren't competitions. So basically, the only thing that you can watch is the World Championship. And water polo is kind of cool, but again, there are so many kind of underwater fouls that you cannot really see. And I do not really like that. I mean, it's kind of weird and it's just like men pulling at each other's pants and dicks and whatever. So it's really kind of a dirty sport, but whatever. And next up, we have volleyball. So volleyball, it's fine, it's okay, but it's kind of like a shittier version of tennis, in my opinion. Because the points, I mean, it's really similar. You serve, and the other team returns. But there's no longer point. The other team immediately tries to score. So it's kind of like shorter, less exciting. There are some epic points in volleyball, but in the long run, I just don't like it that much. Next up, I think we have the B tier already. Yes, we have wrestling, MMA, or WWE. I like it. I like both MMA and WWE. I like WWE because of the characters. I love heels for some weird reason. I really love bad guys, right? And MMA features somebody like a Colby Covington who's really a bad guy, and I really like the combination of WWE heel and MMA guy. But again, in MMA, we have kind of a similar problem as in boxing. Not as much because the champions do defend their titles, let's say once in 6 to 9 months. But I would really love to see the champions fight at least 3 times a year. And in WWE, the booking has been shit, the production has been shit. People are tuning out. I would love for Vince McMahon and the guys up there to allow these wrestlers to be themselves, to allow them to talk, to allow them to develop characters. But it's really kind of censored and not really creative lately. So it's kind of sucky. But I have to put it in B tier. Next up, we have tennis. I hope so. Okay, yes, we have tennis. So tennis, as I said, is a better version of volleyball. But again, it's kind of, as I mentioned in the beginning, there's a gap between, let's say, Federer, Djokovic, and Nadal, and let's say the 50th, 100th, or 200th tennis player in the world. So there's a huge quality gap when it comes to matches. And there is a problem when it comes to women's tennis. We do not have big names. We do not have big champions. These really random women are winning Grand Slams. Like lately, Naomi Osaka is probably the only star that was kind of quote unquote developed or made when it comes to the women's version of tennis. But we have these really random champions. If you do not follow the tennis, let's say you didn't follow WTA tennis for 3 years, and you look at the list, you look at the seeded players, and you're like, who are these players? Like what? Who are they? And it's not like in the past we didn't have great women champions. We have Serena Williams. We still have her. Of course, Venus Williams, Martina Navratilova, Monica Seles, Steffi Graf, so on and so forth. But lately, it's just been a complete chaos. I don't know why. It's just really weird. Next up, we have winter sports. I really like winter sports. I like alpine skiing. I like ski jumping, Nordic skiing. I think it's sort of an exciting sport. It's a solid sport. I even like X Games, not as much as the other sports, but Yeah, I like it. I like it. I do not love it that much, but it's certainly watchable for every person. You get sort of invested, but you won't fight over it. Like, it's not like football. It's not like fighting or something like that. It's just like you turn it on and you kind of chill and you look at, let's say, Martin Fourcade, the biathlon athlete, and say, yeah, that dude is pretty good. So that's why I kind of like winter sports in general. Now, this is probably going to be unpopular, but I have equestrian really high. So I had fishing and golfing really low, but equestrian really high. But I don't know, I just like watching it. Such a same in the same way as winter sports. I like those horses look really good and expensive. I mean, and the way that the horses jump. I mean, it's basically I'm grading the horse instead of the jockey that's riding the horse. But the horse is really, I mean, damn, they are strong, they are fast, they are athletic. Those horses, man, I really like them. Um, Next up, we have table tennis. I think table tennis is really cool. It looks cool. I wish sometimes the points would be longer, but it's just so fast. It's so exciting. It's really cool. I wish that they would broadcast table tennis a little bit more often. But okay, whatever. And next up, I don't know if this is the proper picture for that. I found it on the internet. It's rugby. It's a really weird rugby ball. I think rugby is cool, especially 7-on-7 rugby, but 15-on-15 is also fine. I think it's 15-on-15, right? I hope so. It's cool. It's not that popular, and I hate when people mistake. I hate when people mix up rugby and American football. I fucking hate it. But yeah, rugby, I think it's cool. It's physical. It's for men. It's brutal, but it also has kicking. It also has strategy. So it's not like just fighting around or whatever. So I really like rugby. Not luckby, rugby, because there is no luck in rugby. Next up, we have the A tier. So I have to put football in because football is the most popular sport out there. Listen, you have to have football at least in tier A. I do not especially love football, but I like it. I can watch it. I watch the finals. Sometimes I watch regular season games or whatever. Um, I would like to have a salary cap. I know it's impossible, but I think it would be really helpful to have like an European salary cap, but it would be impossible because the countries are not the same and you cannot have the same salary for, let's say, Barcelona or Manchester United as you would have to, I don't know, Southampton or, let's say, Crvena Zvezda, Red Star, Belgrade. You know what I'm saying? Because there is a difference. But yeah, soccer, cool sport. Basketball, you also kind of need to have basketball up there. It's exciting. I really like of course, everybody likes the three pointers, the dunks, the athletic feats, athleticism, great. You have strategy, awesome. You can watch it. You can get emotionally invested. You can beef with 14-year-old white kids on Twitter about basketball that think that James Harden is the greatest basketball player of all time. But nevertheless, yeah, basketball is a cool sport. Now, okay, this is going to be controversial again. I have darts. I made a video about top 10 controversial hot takes that I have. And I put darts in it because darts, in my opinion, is an elite sport. Elite sport. So the guy yelling 180, it's really lit. The crowd is fucking lit. The crowd is drunk. You get emotionally invested in these players. The players look weird. I know it's not athletic. I know you have 50-year-old white men winning tournaments. You shouldn't have that. And that's why it's not S tier, right? But it's so lit. The guys have characters. The guys have it's like a better version of bowling. It's lit. It's absolutely lit. You should watch darts, and it requires precision. It's really tough. So it's not like you can walk in there and be an elite dartist. I don't know if that's a word, dartist, right? And I think we have one more sport. And Olympics, athletics. I didn't find a dude running, so I put a medal in, right? But Olympics, athletics in general, watching the 100-meter dash, watching the hammer throw, watching the long jump, watching the high jump, it's really cool. It's unique. It's rare. Everybody loves Olympics. I think it's an awesome sport. Now, let's go to the S tier. Wait, I only have two sports here. Two sports, only two sports. One of them is American football. I know. You will hate my decision to put American football / NFL there. But there is so much strategy that you don't understand. You have to put in so much work to just be a little bit better than the other team. It's really harder than you think. There is really more things in NFL that you think. One mistake, one player makes one mistake, and you can lose the match. So it's really, really brutal. It's rare. We only have 16 regular season games. It's exciting. You have brutal hits, although the flags recently have really been sucking. And it's just the combination of everything: the mind, the body, coaching, decision, clutchness. Really, really a great combination of everything. Call me a mark, but I really love American football. And then we have one more sport, which is jacking off. Mr. EDP445 made a video about jacking off being a sport, and I really thought about it. So if fishing is a sport, then jacking off is also a sport. So why is jacking off a sport? Well, it's kind of an athletic feature. You're kind of doing something athletically. You kind of have to have skills. Sorry for that troll. You have to have skills. You have to have technique. It's really important. It's super exciting, especially for you and for the people watching, because if there is somebody watching you jack off, he/she is also really excited. So that's great, of course. And you could make various competitions when it comes to jacking off. So you can have sprints, quick jacking off. You can have distance, how long or how far can your, I don't know, cum shot reach, whatever. You can have volume jacking off. So how many times can you jack off, let's say, in 1 hour? You can have a jack off marathon. So there are really, really different types of jacking off. It's really could be a great sport. I don't know that if right now it's labeled as a sport, but in the future, I think it's definitely a fun feature, and it definitely could be an Olympic sport. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. Let me know in the comment section what do you think, and cut.